Hello friends, welcome to Dungeons & Dragonfly, where I adapt various characters for use in D&D. I am that Dragonfly, Dragonfly9078, and today we'll be building the Crewmate from Among Us. First, a bit of backstory. Among Us is a hidden role social deduction game, kind of like Werewolf or Mafia or Town of Salem. Taking on the role of the crew of a spaceship, the players have to run around the map completing various tasks of varying importance, from those critical to mission success, such as diverting power to various systems and charting the ship's course, to the more trivial, like dumping the trash and buying a drink from a vending machine. Once all these tasks are complete, the crew wins. The crew can also win by discovering all the imposters on the ship that are trying to stop them, and voting to eject them into the cold blackness of space before the imposters have a chance to kill them. So what do we want from this build? Well, we definitely need to be able to do some science. Several of the crew's tasks involve analyzing or sorting various different samples, so we need to know how to do so. We also need to be good with tools, as we'll definitely need to do some repair work that may require some specialized equipment. And finally, space is super dangerous, even without murderous aliens, so it's probably a good idea to get ourselves some kind of spacesuit. Looking at ability scores, I'll be using the standard point array from the player's handbook. If you're rolling for stats, you'll need Intelligence, Charisma, and Dexterity for multiclassing. We'll start off with a 12 in Strength. Not a lot of our tasks need it, but we do need to haul pretty hard on the rusty water valves down on Polis. Dexterity will be 14. Most of our tasks do involve some sort of fine manipulation, and we don't want to get our wires crossed. I really hate to do this, but we're going to dump Constitution. Crewmates tend to die in one hit, and they can apparently only hold their breath for about 30 seconds. Intelligence is probably the most important stat for us, since it governs all of our sciencing, but we'll get something to boost it later, so for now we'll just keep it at 13 for multiclassing. Wisdom's going to be 10, because for some reason these people thought it was perfectly reasonable to put vents large enough to crawl through in a room you have to go through a decontamination chamber to reach, not to mention the vent in the decontamination chamber itself. And finally, we'll put our 15 in Charisma. They may be faceless bean people, but you have to admit that the Among Us characters are pretty cute. Also, they need to defend themselves against accusations that could get them kicked out of an airlock, so it is kind of important for us. According to the scanner in the medbay, the crewmates are about 3'6" and weigh 92 pounds. Now to me, that says halfling wearing plate armor. Lightfoot halflings get +2 to their dexterity and +1 to their charisma, to be good at 2 different kinds of manipulation. They're also small rather than medium. All halflings are brave, giving them advantage on saves against fear, nimble, letting them move through the space of creatures larger than them, and lucky, letting them re-roll the first one they roll on any attack rolls, ability checks, or saving throws. Lightfoot halflings in particular are naturally stealthy, letting them try to hide behind any creature that is larger than them. Now the crewmates are scientists that have to deal with the threat of impending explosions on a regular basis, so they seem like a good fit for the Izzet Engineer background from Ravnica. Izzet Engineers get proficiency in Arcana and Investigation, as well as with one set of Artisan's tools. Your duties often involve charting a course, so let's go with Cartographer's tools. They also have the Urban Infrastructure feature, letting them understand where to find things like wiring that may need fixing. We'll start off as an Artificer. Artificers get 2 skills from the Artificer list. In my view, the sciencey skills are Arcana, Investigation, Medicine, and Nature. We already have Arcana and Investigation from our background, and there's a medbay on the ships for any kind of medical issue, so my picks here are Nature and Perception. Artificers are also the only class that automatically gets proficiency with firearms, which could come in handy for blowing up any stray asteroids that come too close. And finally, they get proficiency with Thieves' tools, Tinker tools, and another set of Artisan's tools. Tinker's tools probably cover most minor repairs we have to make, so I'd pick Alchemist supplies to analyze samples. We'll also pick up Tool Expertise at 6th level to double our proficiency bonus for any tools we're already proficient with. Artisans are magical tinkerers, letting them give minor magical sensory effects to tiny objects. This is a pretty small effect in D&D, but the ability to record a message about who is currently killing you could be game-breaking in Among Us, so it's not to be underestimated. The crewmates are scientific beings, so every now and then they have a flash of genius. As a reaction, we can add our intelligence modifier to an ability check or saving throw that we or a creature within 30 feet of us makes. This bonus can be applied a number of times equal to our intelligence modifier between long rests. 3rd level artificers get to pick a specialty, and I think it's time to get fitted for our spacesuit. Armorers get proficiency with heavy armor and smith's tools. They also get a suit of powered armor. This armor doesn't have a strength requirement, can't be removed against our will, expands to cover our entire body, can be used as a focus for our artificer spells, and its special weapons can use our intelligence to attack rather than our strength or our dexterity. The armor comes in 2 different models, which we can switch between on a short or a long rest. The Guardian armor deals 1d8 thunder damage with its fists, and gives disadvantage to any creatures that we hit if they try to attack someone other than us until our next turn. Crewmates are non-combative by nature, but we could use this to slam a table really hard to make a really loud noise, sort of like an emergency button of sorts. The Guardian Armor also lets us use a bonus action to gain temporary hit points equal to our Artificer level. Remember, temporary hit points don't stack, so using this while you still have some will just refresh it back to 10. Infiltrator Armor doesn't have a stealth penalty, and turns up the player's speed by increasing our walking speed by 5 feet. It also lets us shoot lightning, giving us a ranged attack that deals 1d6 lightning damage. You can also have it deal an additional d6 of damage, but only once per turn, which is a little unfortunate since 5th level armorers get extra attack, letting them attack twice with the attack action instead of once. Artificers are really good at magic items in general. As 10th level Artificers, we get Magic Item Adept, letting us attune to 4 items rather than 3, and letting us craft common and uncommon items cheaper and more quickly. We also get 8 Infusions, special Artificer-only magic items, that we can make after a long rest. Furthermore, 9th level armorers get to treat their armor as 4 separate items for the purposes of infusions, and can make 2 more infusions than normal, as long as those 2 are part of their armor. Since we're 10th level, we can make a Headband of Intellect, which sets our intelligence to 19 for as long as we're attuned to it. We can also make a Helm of Awareness, giving us advantage on initiative rolls and preventing us from being surprised as long as we're not incapacitated. The Boots of the Winding Path let us teleport up to 15 feet to a space that we previously occupied in the same turn as a bonus action, perfect for doubling back when you realize you just passed where your task is. And the Ring of Mind Shielding prevents other creatures from using magic to read our mind, know if we're lying, or know our alignment or creature type. No word on if it protects from parasitic shapeshifting aliens, but it's worth a shot. That's all the infusions we can attune to, but we can also pick up Enhanced Defense for +2 to our armor's AC, and a Homunculus Servant for a little pet that follows us around. The Wand of Secrets will tell us about secret passages so we can suss out where the various vents go, and the Bag of Holding will let us carry around all the gear that we need to do our job. Where does the crewmate get the jerry can that they use to refuel the engine? Obviously from an extra-dimensional space. We get 2 ability score improvements as an Artificer. I'd like to max out Intelligence since it's an odd number, but the score from the Headband of Intellect is a set number that can't be changed, so we'll bump both our Dexterity and Charisma up to 18. Maybe if our Dexterity is high enough, we'll be able to get the stupid card swipe right the first time we try. And now, friends, I have a confession to make. You see, I have executed a perfect subterfuge. This is not, in fact, a build for a crewmate. It's a build for an imposter. That's right, I was sus the whole time. The imposters are a race of parasitic shape-shifting aliens who are trying to kill the crewmates. They take the form of the crewmates and move among them undetected, waiting for a chance to strike, be it with knife, pistol, or their gaping alien maw. They can sabotage the ship's functions, causing dangerous reactor meltdowns, deadly oxygen leaks, or debilitating blackouts to control their prey's movements. They can also use the ventilation system as a network of secret passages to make a quick exit, but they need to be careful. If the crew figures out who they are, they'll need to do some fast talking to avoid being ejected. This does mean that our background must be revised. The Izzet Engineer that we pretended to be was the false identity feature of the Dimir operative all along. We never had the Arcana or Investigation proficiencies, but instead had Deception and Stealth. And our Cartographer's tool proficiency was actually the Disguise Kit proficiency. We'll start off our Imposter build with some levels of Warlock. Warlocks get to pick a patron at first level, and the Ghost in the Machine is perfect for our needs. We get proficiency with hacking tools as well as Information Surge, letting us render a computerized device within 30 feet inoperable until the end of our next turn, once per short rest. We can also use Wirewalk to teleport from a device or socket to another device or socket along the same hardwired network for a quick getaway. We can only do this once per short rest, but it doesn't have a range limit other than line of sight. Luckily, imposters have better vision than crewmates. Devil's Sight at 2nd level lets us see normally in all darkness, magical or otherwise, out to 120 feet. Just make sure to pretend not to be able to see when the lights go out, or you could give yourself away. 3rd level Warlocks get a Pact boon, and Pact of the Blade will let us summon a weapon out of thin air as an action. None of the crewmates seem to carry weapons, and they never act as if giving everyone a pat-down is an option, so we're probably not actually carrying our knife and gun. Pact of the Blade only lets us summon a melee weapon normally, so we'll also take Arcane Gunslinger to summon our pistol. According to page 268 of the Dungeon Master's Guide, an automatic pistol deals 2d6 piercing damage, has a short range of 50 feet and a long range of 150 feet, and can be fired 15 times before needing to be reloaded. Whichever weapon we make, it counts as magical for overcoming resistances. Warlock gives us one more invocation along with another ability score improvement. One with Shadows will put us in prime killing position by letting us turn invisible while in dim light or darkness until we move or take an action or reaction. For our ability score improvement, we'll take the Silver-Tongued feat to get +1 to our charisma and expertise in deception. We can also use one of our attacks to try to deceive a humanoid within 30 feet. If our deception beats their insight, we have advantage on attacks against them and don't provoke opportunity attacks from them until the end of our next turn. We're also going to use the Proficiency Versatility Variant rule, which lets us switch one of our skill proficiencies when we get an ability score improvement. The skill we switch to has to be on our class's skill list, so we'll switch Nature for Arcana so that we can fake our way through doing tasks. We'll finish off with a few levels of Rogue. Multiclassing into Rogue gives us one skill from the Rogue list. I would take Persuasion to go with our Deception. We also get Thieves' Cant, letting us know who the other imposters in the game are, as well as expertise in two of our skills, like Perception and Arcana. Rogues get Sneak Attack, letting us deal an extra 2d6 damage with either our knife or our pistol if we have advantage on our attack roll. Cunning Action lets us dash, disengage, or hide as a bonus action to put some distance between us and the body. Hopefully we can find some other crewmates and blend in so we have an alibi when the body is found. Third level rogues can choose to be Assassins, getting proficiency with the Poisoner's Kit. Assassins can also assassinate, surprise surprise, giving them advantage on attack rolls against targets that haven't acted yet in the current combat, and making any attack they land on a surprise target into a critical hit. Use this in conjunction with Sneak Attack and the Deceiving ability from Silver-Tongued to leave your victim as a bloody stump before they know what hit them. Our capstone for this build is one last ability score improvement. The Diplomat feat rounds off our charisma to 20 and gives us expertise in persuasion. We can also charm anyone we talk to for at least 1 minute if our persuasion beats their insight. They stay charmed the entire time they're within 60 feet of us and for 1 minute afterward. Discussion time is usually at least 1 minute, but this doesn't guarantee that the crew won't vote you off, so it's still a good idea to have an alibi or scapegoat ready. Looking over at spellcasting, Artificers are half casters, so we're effectively a 5th level caster with 2 extra 3rd level Warlock slots that refresh on a short rest. We get 3 cantrips and 7 spells from our Warlock levels. Our Patron gives us several that are very helpful in this context, like On-Off, a cantrip that turns things on or off from 60 feet away if they have a power button or switch. Use this to activate a door that a potential victim is fleeing toward to lock them in. Remote Access lets us operate a device within 120 feet as though it were in our hands, and Arcane Hacking gives us advantage on checks using our hacking tools. For an improved Sabotage, Haywire makes all devices in a 10-foot radius of a point we choose within 90 feet behave randomly for up to a minute depending on our concentration. On each turn, we roll a d6 to see if the device works, doesn't work, shuts down entirely, or deals 6d6 lightning damage to its holder and a creature within 5 feet if they fail a dexterity save. We also get access to Enemies Abound, a fun enchantment that makes the target unable to tell friend from foe for up to a minute, depending on our concentration. The creature regards all other creatures as enemies for the duration if they fail an intelligence save, which should make for some very interesting discussions. Artificers also get 3 cantrips, but can prepare spells from the whole Artificer list, along with a handful of spells from their specialties that are always prepared. Thorn Whip will do nicely for our Spiky Tongue, dealing 4d6 piercing damage on a hit, and pulling the target 10 feet closer to us. We can use Mending to fix minor damage to objects, like some faulty wiring for example, and we'll take Mage Hand because I'm pretty sure the crewmates don't actually have arms, just hands that they conjure when they need to. A couple of standout options from the Artificer list are Shield, which is always prepared from the Armorer list, Alarm to call an emergency meeting or report a body, and Sleep to make some of our enemies go AFK for a little while. And if all else fails, if we get tossed out of an airlock, well, Gaseous Form will turn us into a misty, incorporeal version of ourselves that can fly around and pass through walls. Now that the build is complete, the question becomes, how viable is it? Well, we have expertise in every skill and tool that we're proficient in, making us very good at what we do, especially in social situations with a maxed out charisma score. We also have 20 AC with our Enhanced Defense Plate Mail, which can be buffed to 25 with our Always Prepared Shield spell. We're also good at Sneaky Murder, with a high stealth modifier, multiple ways to teleport and turn out the lights, and the ability to auto-crit. On the other hand, dumping Constitution really hurts. We have around 80 HP, meaning that if we give our victims a chance to fight back, they can probably take us down without too much trouble. We're also very reliant on our charisma skills, which are very good, but if somebody catches you in the act, then there's not a whole lot you can say to get out of that. And finally, there's also the issue that the crewmate half of this build has a couple of advantages over the imposter half. They probably won't have any trouble making the intelligence save against our information surger enemies abound. They have the same 25 AC to ward off our attacks, and their Helm of Awareness stops us from getting automatic crits since it keeps them from being surprised. But you know, that's almost the point. If the imposters weren't such perfect copies of the crewmates, then the game wouldn't work at all, and the imposters wouldn't have the chance to kill the crew so we could... Wait, why are we killing the crew again? You don't know? Wait, are we the bad guys? I hope you enjoyed the build. If you have any feedback or suggestions of characters to build, please leave them in the comments below. I do have a backlog of characters to get through, but I don't really have a specific order to them, so if I get an interesting suggestion, there's no reason I couldn't do it sooner. Thank you for watching, friends, and I will see you all later.